Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. This is Dominique with the Pixie Planner, and I want to do some mind mapping with you today. I don't see this really discussed too much in the planner community besides the Passion Planner, which really introduced me to the whole process of mind mapping when it comes to breaking down your goals. So I thought I would go ahead and do a video of how I interpret the whole process of mind mapping, and hopefully this would maybe give you guys some assistance if you're struggling on how to find a way to best organize your goals. Now, first off, I this year have decided to split my goals up quarterly. It just leaves me feeling less overwhelmed, and it just seems much more manageable with it being in smaller bites, per quarter. So I'm going to show you what I plan on doing for the first quarter. Now, some of you might have already seen, if you've been following me, that my major goal is building an emergency fund this year. I would love to get to $12,000 for the year. So I'm going to go ahead and walk you through what my plan is to start with. So I already mentioned that let me get this stuck on here. I broke my goals down per quarter, okay? So I'm just gonna kind of make a little note here as we're going along. So goals per quarter. And so this is going to be my first quarter that we work on. Now, I am starting off with my first goal being to build $3,000 in an emergency account. Okay. All right, so that's going to be $3,000 in my emergency account. So from here, this is where I'm going to kind of break off and just throw out the ideas that I have for how I'm going to do this. Now, I should have mentioned first off, the thing that I found most helpful when I was making my goals was asking myself why. You hear people always, mention know your why, and it is so incredibly true. So, with my finance goals being my main focus this year, when I think about my why, it stems off into my other goals about how I want to be able to give back to the community more. I want to work more with animal organizations, be retired early, live comfortably as I approach my older age. So it really does just build and build from there. So my financing is going to be my most important thing to focus on. So coming back here to the $3,000 in emergency that I have for my focus. Now, when I'm thinking about, okay, so I want to build the $3,000. How am I going to do that? Well, first off, I need to make sure that I am saving. So I'm going to save $1,000 each month, okay? From there, I'm going to break it down even further, which would mean my $500 per pay period is what I'm going to be saving, okay? So we know that as far as my savings goes, it really should be $1,000 per month. Since I am doing this quarterly, that gives me the 3 months for the $3,000 in my emergency. So from here, my major thing is budgeting. I've never budgeted. I started the whole process the first of the month, and I'm super, super excited because it is working very well for me right now. So one of the major things was to create a monthly budget. And this is very important for me, especially because being that I never budgeted before, I kind of would just look at my checking account and say, oh, I have money in it. Then I can go ahead and buy this for $11 and then this for $8. And so that just added up and added up. I never went too crazy, but it just didn't get me anywhere. I wasn't building my wealth, my retirement with it, because I was just living in the now, which is absolutely okay. Because, I mean, really, tomorrow is never guaranteed. So there is a balance. Enjoy your life in the now, but also think of it in the future so that you can enjoy it just as much then. So the monthly budget was extremely important for me, and I made myself create this monthly budget before the month, begins. So each month I am going to make sure that I have already prepped my budget the week before it starts. So that way I am really just prepared. Nothing can really, delay me getting started on the first of every month. Now, I also have decided that it's going to be a written budget. I know there's tons and tons of different apps out there, and great apps too. But this is why I have paper planners. I am an analog person. I like to feel it. I like to write it. It registers into my brain much, much better that way. So I am going to have a written budget, and I'm going to be using, and I show this in one of my more recent videos, I'm going to be using the Budget Mom workbook. And it has been absolutely, oh my gosh, fantastic. So simple to use. I am absolutely loving it. So, when we look then at my creating a monthly budget, these are the things that I'm really going to make sure I have my source that I'm going to be using, where all of this is going to be compiled into. I can focus on, my debt as well as my spending and my cash system breakdown, which is going to be my next one. So I'm going to be following a cash envelope system. Okay, and I have found that this is going to be useful to help reset my spending, because I typically did not ever use cash. I used my debit card. I wasn't one of those people that would swipe their credit card very often, because I didn't want a chance that I would not be able to pay it off like right away. So I would use my debit card, but still, it's still in the mind very similar to swiping a credit card. So to deter me from getting in that comfort zone of just swiping, I decided I was going to use the cash system. And this is going to help me kind of realize the value of money a little bit better. It's going to make me be a lot more mindful of my spending, and already it definitely has. So I'm going to be following the cash envelope system. Okay, so there's different ways. Do I want to set this up weekly? Do I want to set it up monthly? And for me, what I decided, because the Budget Mom workbook is a paycheck by paycheck workbook, I am going to be doing my cash envelope. Okay, the setup is going to be, so set up with each paycheck. Okay, and that is by monthly. So 2 times a month I get paid. So I am, what's this E at the end? Oh, good grief. So I am paid bi-monthly. So that means with each paycheck, I am going to be setting up a brand new envelope system. So for 2 weeks, I am going to have X amount of money for me to use until I get paid for the next 2 weeks. Okay, so that is by every paycheck, and then I also want to think about, okay, how am I going to carry it around? How am I going to store it? I mean, they have actual envelopes that you can use. They even have envelopes, decorative envelopes that you can make yourself, which I have one right here. It's super, super cute. The Budget Mom, she has adorable printouts online, and they're free too. Some of them are free. So I have this as my gas one, and you just print it, cut it out. She has it all marked, so it's easy to cut out. But so a lot of people use those. I am going to be using those envelopes for my sinking funds as I'm trying to save up for events that occur during the year. So what I'm doing instead for my actual like daily cash envelope is I'm gonna be using a wallet system. And I showed my wallet in my video where I went through my my financial goals for the year, and I showed you a little bit of the workbook. So I showed my wallet system, and I'm very, very happy with it so far. And I think it's going to be working out great. So when it comes to following the cash envelope system, this is my breakdown for it. So I'm setting it up every paycheck, and it is going to be stored and carried in a wallet system. I'm not using actual envelopes. So lastly, when I think about building my emergency account here, I want to think about, okay, where am I storing this money? And I am looking to open, a money market account. And the reason I'm looking to do this, so I read a little bit on different ways to really keep track of your savings, so that way it's not too easy to get a hold of, because sometimes it's easy for us to think, oh, I'll just grab a little bit from this savings account, and when you link it to your checking account, it's easy to roll that money over into your checking. And I know that I could potentially do that, so I don't want to keep it in my savings account that is linked to my checking. So I want to open up a money market account, and it's very, very similar to a checking and savings, but it's not quite as easily accessible, okay? So I want to make sure that I open one of these, and so I need to make sure that I research, okay? So I need to research different accounts and see which one is going to be working best for me. And then, like I mentioned, all savings in here. Okay. So I want to make sure that all of my savings that I do for this quarter one is going to be going into this money market account. So, as far as the mind mapping process goes, I have found that my brain really enjoys this. Already, when we're thinking of so many different ideas, we break it down in our brains. And I have always tried just kind of a list type of format, but I found that it just wasn't working the same for me. I was still getting off track and not zoning in and narrowing down the most important steps for these different ideas. Okay, so just to recap here, again, $3,000 in emergency account. How am I going to do that? Well, I need to make sure that I'm saving $1,000 a month, because this is the quarter. I'm going to make sure that I create a monthly budget. That way I am really staying on track of my spending. I need that. And I'm going to try out the cash envelope system to help reset my habits for spending and kind of get me back on track with realizing the value and the importance of money. That tactile feel is so different than just that plastic card that you hand to the teller and they hand it right back. It doesn't feel like an even trade, and it's just too easy to get sucked into. So I'm going to be following cash envelope system, kind of retrain myself here. And then I'm gonna make sure that I open that money market account so I can put all of this that I've worked so hard to save into a nice, safe place where I have easy access, but not too easy. So that way, you know, it's really only going to be for emergency. Like if there's a medical emergency, if you are out without, you know, a car because something happens to it, this is certainly going to be such a fantastic way, I feel, for me to really zone in on my goal for the first quarter. So what I think I'll do is each quarter I will probably do a video of how I plan on mapping it out like this, and kind of give you a peek at how I plan to tackle my goals each quarter. And hopefully, again, that this was helpful for some of you guys, because I know I've struggled with really zoning in on my goals and trying to break it down. So when I started doing this, when I came across the Passion Planner and I saw their Passion Roadmap and it really focused on this type of layout, I was just like, oh my gosh, okay, finally, it makes sense to me. So I was very excited, and I really wanted to share this with you guys. So if you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up down below. If you have any questions, comment. I make sure to answer all comments. I love your feedback. I love hearing from you guys. So I will be seeing you again very soon in my next video, and have an awesome week. Bye.